Slowly like shadows in the night. There will be a reckoning. There will be a rise. Something like you've never seen. The time has come. If looks could kill, it looks good, it looks good. If looks could kill. If looks could kill, it looks good, it looks good. Looks could kill. You'd be dead right now.
Pink shoes. Thomas, you always bring the heat with the pink. I saved my pink, okay? Because we have a midweek match that is away. So maybe I'll save it for the next one, okay? Because no one behind the TV screen then. But a huge, huge game here this evening. Inter Miami playing host to Montreal. It's the first time Montreal is going to play here, not being the home team. Obviously, due to COVID, they were in our own backyard using the training facilities here. So it's probably kind of a weird one. So I want to touch on the last game. Inter Miami obviously coming off that 1-1 draw. Some positives to take from the match. But Chris, let's start with you. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, it was just such an improved performance. You can tell pretty quickly with Inter Miami whether or not the passing is going to be crisp, whether or not you see the level of intensity. I thought the change in midfield, Gregory was excellent, particularly in those first 75, 80 minutes. Gonzalez Pires was much improved. I think you saw Gonzalo Higuain giving more effort, Federico pulling the strings. I think all of the changes that Phil Neville made ahead of that one came off, and ultimately the disappointment is you didn't create more guilt.
most part in that game versus Philly.
They did, and it was kind of achieving a variety of things. There's a way to do that by going higher and winning the ball when you have the chance in kind of those moments, or backing off. I think Miami did a bit of both. I thought the fullbacks attacked very smartly. Kieran Gibbs was able to join the attack, but also stay within the shape. And I think as well, you saw 3 4 moments where Leandro Gonzalez in pressing forward, trying to get into those position cricket, win the ball back, and actually carry it into the attacking third, was able to really step with confidence and kind of understand that the team behind him was going to be there. So his smartness in attacking the transition and snuff it out at the beginning, or backing off to make sure you're not so stretched with even odd number advantages, 3v3s, 4v3s in counterattacks.
It almost seems like they recognized tactically what they had to do throughout 90 minutes or through 80 minutes. Let's put it that way. As Chris said as well, there was a compactness to the team on both sides of the ball. Kieran Gibbs is a true left back that gives you something going forward that allowed Robbie Robinson at times to be in isolations where he's very, very good, obviously. The 2 center backs and then the 2 holding midfielders were huge on the day as well. And if you look at distances between those 4, there were always the distances were right, which means that the other team, when it turned over, never had a chance to really break us down till obviously late. The first time they got inside the 18-yard box, were able to play a give and go, and that's all she wrote when they tied the game up. Well, what a good performance through, as I said again, 80 minutes.
And one big shift that I saw and I could verbally and hear on the sideline because I was right in between the 2 benches was Gregory and what performance he had on the pitch, winning balls, screening off that back 4, but it was his communication. And I think one thing with Inter Miami, you just alluded to it, getting left 2v2. If you look at the last couple goals that they've scored, they've been outnumbered in that attack, in that transition. So for someone like Gregory, with leaving Matuidi on the bench, did you like this shift in the tactics with leaving
Absolutely.
someone like Matuidi on the bench?
Absolutely. And I'm telling you, that's a huge call for Phil Neville to make, to say, hey, you are our designated players. You've won a World Cup. You've played for the biggest clubs in the world. But I feel right now that Gregory and and by the way, Gregory is the captain. You talked about verbal communication. You talked about the guy that starts everything on both sides of the ball. So committed. Apparently great in the locker room as well. They had a committee of 4. It didn't work out. They went to Gregory, and that's not a guy, not just for this year, but for the future as well. He was huge in this game, and his chemistry with Yola and Federico in front of him was probably the best triangle I've seen this year for Inter Miami. And Gregory makes his team tick on both sides of the ball.
Chris, what was the main thing that stuck out to you for Gregory?
Well, I mean, when he's playing well, he's doing everything, right? So it's getting stuck into the challenge, leading build outs, but mostly just covering ground, right? We're talking about defensive transitions. We're talking about moments where you could get stretched, and in particular against a Union team that isn't always looking to keep the ball. They're going to play through you with through balls, with long balls in behind, having the danger red, being communicated with the back 4 and with the goalkeeper. I just thought he handled every aspect of that holding midfield job, marshaling Ulloa. Everything was exactly what you want out of a central midfield player. It was a top performance.
And for Thomas, is there anything for you? Obviously, you've been a manager, even if you haven't been a manager, because I'm going to ask you the same question, Chris. What would you like to see them change from that last performance? Because let's call a spade a spade. It was one of the best team performances we've seen in a very long time. But is there anything that you would change?
Yes, I would. That's still the final third, obviously. Chance creation, we talked about it. Scoring goals were the worst in MLS, obviously. So that's where an Higuain, who did so many little things right in terms of his work rate, in terms of pressing, in terms of at the 60th minute, coming all the way back, helping out on the right side, Figal as well. That was absolutely brilliant. But Higuain is here to score goals. Yes, he's got 5 in the year. He's got an assist on Robbie Robinson, Ken Morgan, Robinson, and Federico, and Gonzalo in that final third. Be a little bit more creative. And as I said again, put a back 4 more under duress throughout 90 minutes. I think that is an area of improvement right now, because defensively and in midfield they were solid on both sides of the ball.
And I want to jump to your point about Gonzalo dropping back and doing the defensive work. Chris, does that not hurt them going forward? And maybe that's why they're not producing that much, because they did have the fullbacks that got forward, got the ball forward. You had Robbie Robinson that I thought had a very good match. And then you had Morgan that I think the service for me just isn't there this season that we've seen. But dropping someone like Gonzalo, I know why he does it. He wants to get on the ball and start the point of attack. But how can we keep him higher up the pitch?
Well, ultimately, it's about fulfilling the obligation of getting him the ball early and often, so he doesn't feel like he needs to chase the game, right? I think he feels like in order to most impact the game, he's got to do the job of 2 and 3 players, be the creator. Maybe he trusts his brother a little bit more, so maybe he doesn't have to drop in as much. I think he kind of feels like, well, Federico at the very least is on the same wavelength as me. I think there was one moment that I noticed where Kieran Gibbs came in off the left and was in a very central position and kind of played a one-time through ball into Gonzalo. And he almost was slow to react because I think he's been waiting for a teammate on this Inter Miami side to be on that same wavelength. And given the level that Kieran Gibbs has played at, he very much is. And so I think it's just about trusting what's going on around him so that he's in the goal scoring positions. Because when Inter Miami have created the most, it was at home against Atlanta and at home against the Galaxy, and it was Gonzalo in good positions. Didn't put those chances away, but you want to basically put him in positions where it's him and the goalkeeper, and he's got to pick out a finish because ultimately you'll trust him to put 15,
Great
20 away.
point. And great question as well. The higher up the pitch your number 9 can be, the more often you get into the 18-yard box, the more often he expects now those balls that Kieran Gibbs played, that Pizarro did not play, and his brother can play as well. Can Morgan get a little bit better at finding those seams too and allowing him to do what he does best as a number 9 over the last 20 years is scoring goals inside the 18-yard box.
And it'll be interesting to see if they can get it here tonight because they're really starting to fire on all cylinders. And when we come back, we're going to dive into a new player signing and also some key players that have really helped Inter Miami progress in the season so far since coming to Inter Miami. And it's all this next.
AutoNation is growing. America's largest and most admired automotive retailer is hiring for all positions at over 300 locations. Sales, service, support staff, and more. Apply online today at jobs.autonation.com.
Today tastes like a fresh start. Like a hot spot. Tastes like a head in the clouds. And like 2 feet off the ground. Today tastes like a Sunday ritual. And it never tasted this good.
Stir things up with Espolón Tequila, the official tequila sponsor of Inter Miami CF. Made with hand-harvested 100% Blue Weber agave from Los Altos de Jalisco, Mexico. Grab an Espolón cocktail at a stadium bar today.
The next great flavor from Wendy's is here, the Bourbon Bacon Cheeseburger. With Wendy's signature Applewood smoked bacon smothered in our brand new Bourbon Bacon sauce. Because Wendy's goes all in on flavor, unlike other places.
Innovation is this team's secret sauce.
Isn't our secret sauce kind of like Thousand Islands?
Shh, they might be listening. Bill's right. Everyone, break your phone.
Get 'em on the
table. I don't have an insurance plan for my phone.
It's no secret. When it comes to flavor, we got you. With the new Bourbon Bacon Cheeseburger. Only at Wendy's.
Welcome back into the AutoNation Pregame Show, okay? I haven't even started drinking yet. That's for later on.
They're similar. You could have stuck with zone. You could have stuck with zone.
Yeah.
We are always in the zone, by the way.
We're in the
We
zone.
are always in the zone.
I want to talk about some player signings. Obviously, we've touched on Gibbs a little bit, Gregory and what he's added, but Ventura Alvarado, since this week, has now officially signed with Inter Miami. Chris, let's start with you. What are we making of this signing?
Yeah, so I think we're heading towards next year, probably needing a bit more center back depth. Is a player who's going to join, has great experience in Mexico, which is a really high level to join from. Was kind of converted as a dual national to play for the U.S. men's national team, has 13 appearances for them. I saw him quite a bit when he was at Necaxa in the 1920 season. I was covering Mexican football. Really sharp defensively, has got good instincts. Playing out from the back for me can improve a little bit, but as a depth signing, a player who's a capped international for the United States, who's kind of looking for a club, looking for a home, and Inter Miami picks him up. He trains with the club for a few weeks and now can offer be a third, fourth center back, can allow Nicolas Figal, if he has to push out to right back, you have more cover at center back. It's a good option to have, and I would imagine that if he impresses this season, could probably play a bigger role next year.
And at 28, I scouted him quite a few times when I was the chief scout for the U.S. men's national team. I mean, this guy played and started for many years for Club America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, one of the great institutions, obviously. So I think at 28, and we know what the roster is like from a financial standpoint. I think this is a great pickup. A guy that can get better in little areas. That's why he didn't really, after 13 games for the U.S. men's national team, made that leap to become a starter or to become part of a qualifying campaign. But I think it's an excellent pickup, and a guy that, as I said again, has athleticism, is good in the air, can get a little bit better with the ball, though.
And I think these are the signings within Major League Soccer because there is that such a gap. You only have, your 3 DPs, and then coming these next 2 years with, no TAM, no GAM. These are the players that they're going to
Yep.
need to rely on, especially if injuries do happen. So
Let's face it, Henderson and Phil Neville are connected right now.
Yeah.
And they know what they want going forward. You look at a Marsman, you look at a Gibbs, you look now at an Alvarado as well. These are guys that not only figure in now, but for the future too. They're building for the future. So another great signing by this team, I think, and shows you again that Chris Henderson and Phil Neville are putting their stamp on this team.
No, and it really does. I want to touch on 4 key players. I picked them out because I thought they had standout performances. We've touched on Gibbs quite a bit, so I'm going to leave him to the last. But Gregory, we've also touched on him, so I'm going to leave him last as well. Robbie Robinson. Now, the one thing with Robbie Robinson is we know the mental side of his game just hasn't been there. But the last 2 performances say otherwise, Chris.
Yeah, and to that mentality, it was interesting to hear him after the last match because he was talking about how nice it was to finish a game fully healthy. And as he finishes more games fully healthy, he'll stop thinking about being healthy and thinking about being direct to goal, but play that great combination play with Gonzalo Higuain for the goal against Philadelphia. And now it's him going at defenders, trying to cause them problems. You want to see a little bit more variety in a wide area because you basically well know. And look, you fellow Dutchy Arjen Robben made a career out of cutting onto his left and shooting into the top corner. So you can be, single faceted, but ultimately Robbie Robinson, I think, can use a bit more, play with his left foot, play crosses in. But in terms of what he brings from an attacking point of view, I would say he's the difference maker. When you look at where they were beginning of the season and where they are now, it's the reintroduction of Robbie Robinson that's going to turn this team around.
That's a great point. And I obviously, we all saw Robbie Robinson in college, and correctly so, the first pick in the first round. He's only scratching the surface right now because he came through a lot last year and this year as well, mentally and physically. He seemed to be beyond that point right now. He only is going to get better game by game. And that assist from Higuain for him to score the goal, that relationship is going to build. They're going to get better. And hopefully Robbie Robinson can now say, you know what? I'm going to reward you, Gonzalo. Here's a ball. Boom. Goal.
And I think the one thing that really stuck out is when he scored that goal, Gonzalo's reaction to it.
Yeah.
We have not seen that since he's been at Inter Miami, just the reaction of how happy he was. So I think for something with that partnership, it'll be interesting to see how it grows. But what about the partnership between him and keep wanting to say Ryan Gitt? Why? Why?
I don't know.
Why,
He is
Kaylin?
one of the
Switch
greatest
on.
Welsh players of all
Yeah.
time.
Oh
but
my! But
Also
Kieran
lefty,
Gibbs. Yeah,
makes
there you
sense. I get it.
But that partnership with that
Yes.
fullback role, how can we see that continue to progress? Because we saw glimpses of it last week.
Yeah, and I think something we noticed kind of in the first half hour was at some point Robbie Robinson is going to have to reward Kieran Gibbs for an overlapping run. Because if you're going, we're talking about a player who's a little bit short of fitness. He's just getting into it. If he's going to make that sprint forward, you got to slide him in. I think occasionally Robbie thinks of himself on an island. It's about what he's doing as opposed to how he fits in the broader team. So he's going to have to combine. But hallelujah, a threat down that left-hand side. The combination of the two of them is by far the best that left side has ever looked for Inter Miami.
Okay, now before we jump over to the right-hand side, because obviously we have some changes into that fullback positions. We have players out on the pitch. Obviously, goalkeepers are warming up. You see Marsman there. He has been a huge difference maker as well. Just that leadership, being able to play out of the back. I know we always talk tactics, but I think for someone like him, it's very much of a Navas when he went to PSG, just having that leadership from that back to the front. Are we starting to see something like that with Marsman and net?
Yeah, I really think so. I've spent a little bit of time with him right now because he happens to be Dutch, obviously.
If you ain't Dutch, you ain't much, all right? You can't hang out with Thomas Rogan if you ain't Dutch.
And he appears very comfortable in his own skin, very Dutch, direct, honest, as he was after the 5-0, and pretty much said this was a disaster. Made 2 or 3 great saves for them not to lose. Had 1 or 2 other great saves, I think, in this 1-1 draw. And he's going to get better as well and more comfortable with his back four. One of the reasons why I think we were better defensively It's not just because of the two center backs and because of the two holding midfielders, the fullbacks. It's the guidance, the organization. You know that, Kalen. You've been a center back. I've been a center back. If you got a goalkeeper behind you that's verbally strong, that commands his 18-yard box, that's absolutely brilliant, because then you know that you can hold the line a little bit higher as well. And it seemed like almost they were more comfortable pressing, they were stepping, and also when they had to drop and get numbers, moving the ball really quickly. It all starts with your goalkeeper, in my opinion.
Thomas, we were center defenders because we were initially midfielders. They
Don't
couldn't
tell
do it anymore. So the older you get, the further you make your way back.
And just kick lumps out of the number 9,
But
TR.
to be fair, if I could have had to do it all over again, I would have chose to play center back, getting the ball
By the
facing
way,
up. I love it.
your Canadian team, against the U.S., well done. 100 caps, by the way, from Canada here.
Get out of here. We'll talk about the Olympics another day. Anyways, just around the corner, we
Oh,
have...
Canada.
We are going to hear the national anthem tonight, which I'm absolutely delighted about. We do have lineups just around the corner, so stay tuned because you're not going to want to miss this.
The school bus.
The Zach wagon.
Wally.
No matter what you call your car or why you're letting it go, AutoNation will buy it, and you don't have to buy one from us. We're paying top dollar right now. So go to AutoNation.com or come see us for a super easy appraisal. Get paid on the spot, and you can deposit it the same day. Visit any AutoNation store or AutoNation.com. What drives you drives us.
For the community.
Because now I feel like there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
To protect my patients.
Because I wanted to protect myself.
So I could go visit my mom.
To protect my husband.
I said yes to the COVID-19 vaccine because I have been the one present in the room with a patient's last breaths.
If more people were vaccinated, we could put an end to this pandemic and get back to some sense of normalcy.
Today tastes like a fresh start, like a hot spot. Tastes like a head in the clouds, and like 2 feet off the ground. Today tastes like a Sunday ritual, and it never tasted this good.
Rhythm. It flows through all of us. But rhythms change. That's why Ford SUVs are built to match your tempo.
The next great flavor from Wendy's is here. The Bourbon Bacon Cheeseburger. With Wendy's signature applewood smoked bacon smothered in our brand new bourbon bacon sauce. Because Wendy's goes all in on flavor, unlike other places.
Innovation is this team's secret sauce.
Isn't our secret sauce kind of like Thousand Island?
Shh, they might be listening. Bill's right. Everyone, break your phone.
Get him on the table. I don't have an insurance plan for my phone.
It's no secret. When it comes to flavor, we got you. With the new Bourbon Bacon Cheeseburger. Only at Wendy's.
Welcome back into the AutoNation Pre-Game Show. If you haven't heard enough tactics, well, we got more for you, okay? We have the starting 11th officially. So let's start with Inter Miami. Just one change to this Inter Miami side. We got Thomas Rung in here picking out the tactical board. And it's in that center back role. Shaw Cross is dropped for this game. Miguel into that center back role. So he moves from that right to the left. Lurdam out here on the right-hand side. What are we making of? Let's start with the back line. What are we making of the back line?
Well, due to an injury, obviously, Miguel comes centrally, which is fine because he's still a better center back than a right back. Lurdam is a true right back. Was with Suriname, obviously, in the Gold Cup, is back now and was brought in to be the starter on that right side. Quite frankly, the rest is the same. More athleticism, quite frankly, here. So I think we got somewhat better, if that's even possible. But that's the starting 11 for Inter Miami. 2 changes, actually one. Lurdam coming in, Miguel coming essentially for short rush. Same 4-2-3-1 basically, as we see in the last game.
Now, I always find back role because both love to get stuck in. They love to step out. How can they be defensively more sound as a partnership? Because I think what Shawcross adds to that back line is just more of a stabilitator. Just stays there, doesn't get caught out. Yeah, he's a defender's defender. So how can they play that cat and mouse here tonight?
Well, it's interesting. It's a job on for the central midfield players to be thinking about that. If Leandro Gonzalez-Pineda steps, then tries to run the ball, then goes forward, one of the central midfield players has got to fill that gap. One of the fullbacks has got to tuck inside. It is a very attacking disposition when you think about those two center backs with two fullbacks that like to get forward as well. So they'll have to be mind paid to how much everyone is going forward at the same time. Mind paid for shape. Nick Marsden has talked about after that 5-0, we need to keep a shape. We need to think about transition moments. And so it has to be more concerted effort from everyone, not just the two center backs.
Still, it's a great question because both players, LGBT, are emotionally always invested in games. And at times, get away from what's important, what's at stake. And you're right, Shawcross is the one that can hold them back a little bit more. So it's important that they, yes, they will be able to communicate the issue as well. Can they be more composed? Still hard, as they always are. Still win their games. How good was LGBT, by the way, in the last game? The best player. Can't play within himself. Don't get away and get early yellow cards. In some games, I think that could be a very good one.
And the players are capitulating out here, warming up the pitch, but you can see what it means. They've gone straight to the neutral zone and are clapping for the fans and thanking them for showing up week in and week out, even when the performances haven't been there. They're yet to win at home, but you can almost feel like it could potentially happen tonight. Chris, talk to me about this midfield three. How can they dominate this game?
Well, to me, it'll be interesting how they figure out how not to make it run by Montreal. Because there is, if you enter that 3-5-2, there's three straight midfield players, and they both like to get forward. And today it'll be Wanyama, Mihailovic, and Huntley in the middle, and they like controlling that midfield attack. How big your thoughts as they are 4-2-3-1 against the 3-5-2? How do you manage where are the advantages for Inter Miami going forward? If this team against 3-5-2, and where are they in Montreal in different systems?
It's transition out wide, obviously, because you talked about Kieran Gibbs. Can they create a 2-3-1 out wide against their right players and go 18-18? What the problem becomes is when Montreal has their number centrally, that's what they hurt us the last time. Because Montreal, by the way, in both games, 51-40 possession in favor of us one time. And they're a team also, but sometimes they're better without the ball. But hey, we can take the television out of this game. And Toy, right, 6 goals. There's not too many other guys from the roster. By the way, there's 2 points on the road. They scored only 7 goals. Great opportunity to stop Mihailovic. Brilliant point, by the way. I like it. It's Gregory. That's my guy. He shared the ball. So make sure the transition can hurt you. Make sure that Toy, which will LGP or PL need to deal with their 2 front runners. Out wide transition with their double. Robinson wants to forward and maybe some overloads or underloads for them. It will open up things for the big second.
How much more so in this match today because they are playing with that 3-5-2. That's always made it and naturally you want to drop and just create that overload in the midfield because maybe potentially frustration not getting the ball or we're doing that defensive work. How do we keep him higher up the pitch and how do we keep him regular
Possession part up at 65%. Forcing Montreal there. That's what is the state because it wants to go there. One base. They can make this. Who steps in the field? Who stays out of the 3 or 2? Like a 2-3-1 against the Boys. Who play off the shoulder of Macho, who will play centrally right there. There make his runs as well. And push the 2 guys, the 3 center backs, who have to make decisions. When do I go to Morgan? When do I go to Robinson? When do we create one of these means you got to stay alive. The key becomes again Viola, Gregory, and Mr. Federico. They can possess the ball in a protect the third. That will allow Higuain not to have to drop a play back and stay very high.
You're talking about it from a tactical point of view. I'll talk about it from a mental point of view. Ultimately, it comes down to does Gonzalo Higuain feel like without his contributions that this team can build up. This team looks good going forward. It's when he gets frustrated at the start of the ball that he feels like, all right, this needs me. I need to drop further in so that I can play. And by the way, he's brilliant at this. getting the ball back, turning, and then playing a 40-yard loop ball out to either wing. He's good at it with both feet. And I get why he wants to contribute that if he feels like the team isn't building up well.
And I do think that will play an important role here tonight, because when you do play three at the back, naturally the space is out on the width with players like Robinson and like Morgan. But how do we get that quality from those wide areas, specifically down that right-hand side with Morgan?
That's a great point. And Chris and I talked about that from the opening game till now, is that Morgan has underperformed this year versus last year, obviously. And can we get more consistency? His deliveries has been average, both of his left and his right foot. I think Robbie Robinson and Morgan, maybe they can change sides and give Morgan a little bit of a different role. But I think this is a breakout game for Morgan, potentially. When the ball turns over and he can find space without the ball, we can find them there, and trailers come in behind Higuain. The key again is, yes, we'll have an overload out wide, but we still need to get more than just Higuain in the box. Can Federico get there? And one of the two holding midfielders, particularly Gregory, unbelievable range, can sometimes get inside the 18 or around the 18-yard box and strike balls from distance.
And I'm not laughing at you.
What?
I've actually just almost been taken out by Marsman. So cheers, big guy. Save it for the pitch, okay? I got my heels on, all right? Actually, no, I got my wedges. I could probably suit up if they needed me. No one wants to see that. Let's jump to Montreal just a little bit. We have a quick couple minutes here. Let's start with you, Chris. Montreal, where are their biggest strengths? Where are their biggest weaknesses?
Well, Thomas highlighted their strengths. It's a couple of players. Mason Toy, who they acquire from Minnesota. Minnesota, yep.
And by the way, has started to come on since coming here. He's found that confidence that we did see in college, because he didn't have it at Minnesota.
Yeah, he's got 6 goals this year. And Mihailovic, who they spent big money on, close to $1 million in allocation money to bring him in from Chicago Fire. He's a homegrown product and really was never going to probably be given that team as like, go run this team. And I think he's been given the run of this team. He's the number 10. He's the creative inspiration. He's the guy that you want to slow down. Their weakness is actually, beginning of the season, they started really well with scoring goals. They had a bonkers game of 5-4 against FC Cincinnati, which is still I think we watched the whole thing during the lightning delay during the New York Red Bulls match. And so we watched it, and they were good on that day going forward, but they struggled to score goals on occasion. The kind of big talking point reading through the local press is they struggle to score goals because they don't have match-breaking players, particularly with the guys that are out. Romel Kyoto, a forward, is with Honduras in the Gold Cup, is just returning. I think he's on the bench tonight. He's nursing an injury. And then Samuel Piet and Kamal Miller, who return from international duty with Canada. So without all those guys, it's a little bit too much for them in terms of they don't have that squad depth to be able to create chances.
And this back three can be exposed, quite frankly, without the player
Miller.
Kamal Miller, but also without
Alias Struna.
Struna, exactly. That's 2 guys out of the 3 that normally start for them as well. So I would like to think, be on the front foot, go after this back 3, and create some opportunity or chaos, I call it, inside the 18-yard box.
Do you guys want to know my positive to take from this match?
Go ahead.
We all get to listen to the Canadian national anthem.
Oh, Canada.
I think I've said it about 800
By the way,
times.
bronze medal winner right here.
I'll take a bronze model. I like that better.
Correct. Well, I prefer the bronze model. You get the medal.
When we come back, we're going to touch on a tailgating party that none of us were invited to.
Should I be frustrated by this? Or?
Yeah, you should.
I'm intrigued by it, and you should be intrigued too.
Frustrated,
Because
intrigued, pissed off.
I love it. Anyways, it's all this next. Stay tuned.
Sure are a lot of different drivers out there, and AutoNation is here for every one of them. The go-getters, blinksters, haulers, even rock stars. We're America's largest and most admired automotive retailer, and we love getting you on the road. So to all the on-timers, hard workers, and get-out-of-towners, keep at it. What drives you drives us. AutoNation.
Rhythm. It flows through all of us. But rhythms change. That's why Ford SUVs are built to match your tempo.
Today tastes like a fresh start. Like a hot spot. Tastes like a head in the clouds. and like 2 feet off the ground. Today tastes like a Sunday ritual, and it never tasted this good.
The next great flavor from Wendy's is here. The Bourbon Bacon Cheeseburger. With Wendy's signature Applewood smoked bacon smothered in our brand new Bourbon Bacon sauce. Because Wendy's goes all in on flavor, unlike other places.
Innovation is this team's secret sauce.
Isn't our secret sauce kind of like Thousand Island?
Shh, they might be listening. Bill's right. Everyone, break your phone.
Get him on the table! I don't have an insurance plan for my phone.
It's no secret. When it comes to flavor, we got you. With the new Bourbon Bacon Cheeseburger. Only at Wendy's.
AutoNation is growing. America's largest and most admired automotive retailer is hiring for all positions at over 300 locations. Sales, service, support staff, and more. Apply online today at jobs.autonation.com.
Welcome into Drive Pink Stadium. The fans are rolling in. We have people that wanted to join our pregame show, people trying to throw me off the pregame show. And we've sent one of our producers off for a little task because it's something that I'm intrigued by, I'm not happy by, and it's like a secret society. I didn't go to school in college, so I wasn't part of any of the Kappa Del, Kappa anything like that. Do we have? Oh, I thought this was our secret sauce.
No. We got secret sauce over there.
Oh, we have secret sauce. Okay. We're going to bring him on in a second. So there was a private tailgating event over on the training ground. The Maas brothers were there. David Beckham was there. And there was no cameras involved. No one was allowed to film anything. It was like a secret society, which I'm devastated we weren't part of.
Yeah.
But I'm also happy we weren't part of because I feel like if there was like...
I was right up there. Almost like
you were a spy.
I felt like a drone, and I looked over and went, "Oh my God! There's like 1,000 people just on the other side of the practice facility. What are they doing there?" Now I know what it is. It's a secret society.
It is a secret
which
society.
we are not part of.
Which I thought was.
But our hardcore fans.
Which this is what I want to touch on.
Dale, vamos.
This is what I want to touch on though, because these fans continue to show up week in and week out, even when the performances aren't there. Now, last week the performance was there. We didn't get the win, but potentially deserved it.
And we got it from old to young. We got 3 right there. Come on, guys.
Oh, we got
vamos, dale.
You guys
One
got
here.
to share that mic.
One here.
One here, one here.
And one here.
Okay, perfect.
There you go. We
so,
got him young, we got him old, we got him whatever.
Put your headset on.
Put your headset on, my man.
Headset there.
Okay, so I have to ask you, what's your name? Okay, I'm not going to repronounce that because I'm going to mess it up. I got to work on my Spanish, okay?
And what's your
name?
Okay, muy bien.
And what's your name? Tiago.
Tiago. Tiago Silva. Tiago Mata.
So, were you guys part of the secret tailgating party over there? You didn't get the invite either. No. Neither did we.
It was 18 and over.
Oh, okay, that's why. That's why. No fake IDs here.
The parents are there.
Yeah, your parents were probably there. So, do you play football? Here, you got to talk. I'm just going to take this.
TR.
What do
you want?
What position do you play?
Of course.
Okay.
Central midfielder. Number 10, creative midfielder. What about you?
No, he was saying, oh, you're the number 10.
I play in Western MLS.
Muy bien. Gusta, Under what? Under 15? Under 14?
So you're pulling the strings of midfield.
Yeah.
You're playing the through balls.
The academy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're part of the academy.
Yeah. He is.
I'm playing Mission Internet this season.
Right. He plays for Weston. Weston is part of MLS Generation X that has taken over from the developmental academy of the United States Soccer Federation. I'm telling you, I've seen some teams at Weston. Muy bien, Gusta. But your next step is what? You want to go here, Into Miami?
Yeah.
Of course.
So is that your dream to play here for Inter Miami?
Yeah.
Play on this field with the big guys.
I love it. What? Who's your favorite player on Inter Miami?
Inter Miami. Higuain.
I love it. Who's your favorite player? Messi. Okay, and then for everyone's favorite player is Messi. I love it. Go on, Chris.
Yeah. So, do you play soccer as well?
Yeah, I play soccer.
Okay, cool. You want to play for Inter Miami at some point? Of course. Yeah.
And what position are you? I didn't hear that. You're goal scorer. Okay, I love it. I love it. And who's your favorite player for Inter Miami? Not in the world, okay? You can't say Messi. Higuain. Okay, what about you? He left the team. Pellegrini. I like Vidal.
You can tell he's rough. Yeah, no, he's said Higuain
So
already.
for everyone tuning in, Pellegrini is back on loan until 2022. So we wish him the best. He's a fantastic person. He's a fantastic player. So that just happened. He's there on loan.
Estudiantes de La Plata, Argentina.
There we go. I had that in my notes. Did I pronounce it? Not in a million years.
These two are from Mar del Plata.
Okay. That's why you're Pellegrini fan.
Got it.
Okay, amazing. I like it. Predictions. Let's start with you. Predictions for this evening.
I think the score is going to end up 3-1 Inter Miami winning.
Who's your goal scorers? I love it.
Fial and 2 from Higuain and 1 from Fial.
I love it. What about you? Ooh, I love it. And what about you?
You guys go for free.
Carranza. I love it.
Love the Argentinian players.
Yeah, you do. Who doesn't, though? Come on now. They bring that flair. Now, don't go anywhere because when we come back, we got some keys to the match, and we're going to break a little bit more down because kickoff is just around the corner. Inter Miami again playing host to Montreal.
AutoNation is growing. America's largest and most admired automotive retailer is hiring for all positions at over 300 locations. Sales, service, support staff, and more. Apply online today at jobs.autonation.com.
Today tastes like a fresh start. Like a hot spot. Tastes like a head in the clouds. And like 2 feet off the ground. Today tastes like a Sunday ritual. And it never tasted this good.
Stir things up with Espolón Tequila, the official tequila sponsor of Inter Miami CF. Made with hand-harvested 100% Blue Weber agave from Los Altos de Jalisco, Mexico. Grab an Espolón cocktail at a stadium bar today.
The next great flavor from Wendy's is here. The Bourbon Bacon Cheeseburger. With Wendy's signature applewood smoked bacon smothered in our brand new bourbon bacon sauce. Because Wendy's goes all in on flavor, unlike other places.
Innovation is this team's secret sauce.
Isn't our secret sauce kind of like Thousand Island?
Shh, they might be listening. Bill's right. Everyone, break your phone.
Get him on the table! I don't have an insurance plan for my phone.
It's no secret. When it comes to flavor, we got you. With the new Bourbon Bacon Cheeseburger. Only at Wendy's.
Welcome back into Drive Pink Stadium. I'm your host, Caitlin Kyle, and everyone has officially left me, which means game time is just around the corner. You can catch Chris Whittingham and Thomas Rongan on radio. Then you can also catch us on My 33 with Andres Cordero and Ray Hudson. How about that for rolling my R's? See, my Spanish is getting better. I've been in Miami 2 years. It's starting to progress. Again, Inter Miami taking on Montreal, and my keys to the match are simple. Number one, quality in that final third. When you have players like Gonzalo Higuain, can we get him the service from Robbie Robinson and down on the right-hand side with Morgan? And then that defensive transition, we touched on it in the pregame show. It's going to be so important in a match here this evening when they got a tough stretch of games. Can they be defensively sound for 90 minutes? Again, players are just finishing their warm-up. They're going to hit the locker rooms, change jerseys, and again, kickoff at 8 p.m. For myself, Caitlin Kyle, the rest of the crew are producers, which make us look good. Stay tuned because kickoff is next.
Nevertheless, Predicts 6 presented by BetMGM.
Good.